Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. The intention of this podcast is to open your mind, get curious about yourself and connect to the power you hold within. I am your host, Karen Maloney, an inside-out coach, helping you to believe in yourself and manifest your desires. Check out the podcast, available on all platforms, and go to my website, www.karenmaloney.com for all info. Hello again, back with another new episode, and this week my guest joining me is Philipp Samor von Holtzendorff-Fehling. That's a really big mouthful and I really hope I pronounced it or did it some little bit of justice, but Philipp is the founder and CEO of Leela Quantum Tech, a pioneer in frequency medicine providing quantum energy devices designed to accelerate your body's recovery and optimize health. Today they've sold over 10,000 devices to health enthusiasts who are using them to boost their performance, ease pain, lower stress levels, block and neutralize damaging effects of electromagnetic fields, EMFs, and much more. Quantum energy, also known as frequency medicine, is scientifically proven to have incredible cell rejuvenation power, making it ideal for treating many health conditions. Leela Quantum Tech devices are portable, non-invasive, easy to use and can be used anytime, anywhere with no side effects. Philipp is trained in energy healing, shamanic practices and past life regression. Before founding Leela Quantum Tech, he worked as an executive for several Fortune 500 companies, including T-Mobile International and T-Mobile US, where he served as vice president. And this episode is all about Philipp's journey, his background, what brought him to creating this quantum technology. He describes some of the products they have. He describes how they scale on the Hawkins scale of consciousness and how a lot of his devices actually even calibrate higher than the Hawkins scale. He shares some of the benefits, his favorite product, and he also talks about how he hopes within 10 years they'll be out of business because the reality is we have the capacity to unlock our own consciousness. We don't even need anything outside of us. But as he said, 99.9% of people are still asleep to their own powers. And he also talks about some of the scientific evidence that proves that this technology works as well. So, a really interesting conversation, I think, all about quantum consciousness, frequency medicine, and if you want to learn more on Philipp's work or the Leela Quantum Tech, you can go to the website www.leelaq.com, and that's LEELAQ.com. But as always, I will have links from the show notes on my website, karenmaloney.com, and click the podcast section. Enjoy. Welcome everybody and thanks for joining for another episode. And Philipp, you're very welcome. I'm not going to attempt your whole surname right now again, but thank you for joining today. And I'm excited to talk to you more about your incredible work that you're doing.
Thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited as well.
You are the CEO and founder of Leela Quantum Tech, and we'll get into that as well. But first of all, maybe if you just introduce yourself and what interested you in the quantum.
Yeah, so I'm not in this field because of a science background that took me there over many years of working in physics. It's actually the other way around. You know, we hear about quantum physicists that meet in the middle with the seers and knowers of ancient times and also of today's time, right? Because they kind of try to describe the same thing. And I'm more coming from that side because I experienced through way over 2 decades of shamanic training and consciousness work and unlocking more of my own consciousness that there's so much more that we don't realize if we just live in our box of the 5 senses and are just living the typical rational life. So I've not only gotten to experience how it is to unlock more of that, also to heal myself really in the inside, from the inside out, I've also gotten to know some of the most amazing healers across the globe through that. And at some point, even though I have a background in corporate America and in corporate Europe, in 2016, I couldn't do it anymore. The stretch had become too big for me to live in these both of those worlds. And from that point on, I truly only worked from impulses from my heart and really tried to work from my calling. And the quantum technology is the main calling right now. We can get into that and why. And it combines really scientific research and possibilities with the world of energy healing and consciousness work.
Love it. And so much of what you said there between unlocking consciousness and when we're stuck in the typical rational life, how we miss out on so much, or we miss the bigger picture as well. And before we delve more into the quantum, I'm curious to know, what was some of the most fascinating thing for you that you learned during your shamanic training?
Well, that's a great question. I think there were many aspects. I think for me, the most fascinating was along the way that for a long time in the beginning, I couldn't see energy and I couldn't really perceive visually how many others could perceive. And that frustrated me for many years, frankly. And at some point when I really gave that up and then still continued to work through everything and also trust, at some point it was there. And I think that was a big moment for me that, when I work with someone, I literally see it all. I see everything I need to see. And the other part is, to really understand that we all have this ability to work with energy, to perceive energy and all of that. It's not something that just enlightened beings can, or some truly gifted healers. Yes, there are differences between a truly gifted healer that is born with these abilities and someone that, has to learn it over time, but it all can be learned and trained. And I think that's a good and positive message for everyone out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And there is that ability, like you say, to work with energy and to see energy. And so when you say you can see it all now as well, what exactly does that mean? And what is the quantum for you? And can you see it?
Yeah. So first of all, thankfully, I don't have the problem that I see everything all the time. I can turn it on, which is very helpful. I know some people that for years struggled with the fact that they saw everything all the time, and they really had to work hard on being able to turn that off. And so what does that mean? When I work with someone, I can see the energy blockages. I can see topics stored in the aura and the chakra system and the root causes of issues that people deal with. And then, if it's my task to work with that person, I usually see the solution of what can be done energetically to bring all of that into motion. What is the quantum field? Well, quantum energy is really the energy behind the matter. It's the energy that we have in each of our cells. Each of our cells contains a quantum field. And so we are basically an accumulation of quantum fields. And that's also how the cells communicate constantly and instantly. Really, the quantum field is the source energy. It's really a form of source energy where all of the frequencies that exist within the quantum field. So if people talk about scalar energy, that is not quantum energy, because scalar is a frequency that actually exists within the quantum field. So that's as scientific as I want to get here, unless you want to dig further, because for a lot of people I've found it's much more experiential than listening to a scientific definition. That's why I say it's the energy that you have in each of your cells. You can also close your eyes and just feel your presence within your body, and then try to move a little bit outwards out of your body. And you will then feel that there is something, that there is energy. And that's also how you can get into that. So you can literally tune into the quantum field.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that as well, scalar, because it's funny. I had a question wondering what is the difference between quantum and scalar and even Leela, and are they intertwined or all kind of similar and of the same? And maybe when we come to some of talking about your work with Leela, you can share more on that. And is that how you trained as well to see energy and to work with it? By your own work, by closing your eyes, by feeling it, and then going deeper from there?
That was one of the things I did, but I really went through shamanic workshops and I learned how to do past life regression work. I learned certain different energy healing techniques. So those are all the things I did. My goal was never that I wanted to be this guy that works individually with people from morning till night. It was more actually my own curiosity, and it was to sort of heal myself and unlock more of my own consciousness. And then it so happened that I also worked with others, which I still really enjoy to do. It's just a very small part of my day. Usually it's maybe just every other week that I have a work like that because I have so much other stuff, which is really my focus. And then nowadays, since we've been working with these products, they have help me even further because they actually help you to unlock more and more of your consciousness, and they actually calibrate extremely high on the Hawkins scale. So I'm certain that some of your listeners will have heard about the consciousness scale by David Hawkins, and we can certainly get into that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I definitely would like to talk more about the different levels of consciousness. But first as well, just checking on quantum energy and frequency medicine. Are they in and of the same, or how do you determine frequency medicine?
That's a good question. So we work really with both. So we have developed a technology that can imprint pure quantum energy into any object on one hand side. And then with these so-called blocks, you have a pure, natural, highly concentrated quantum energy field available that you can tap into, that you can use for all kinds of different applications that we can also get into. But on the highest level, that is also frequency. But really on the level that we usually communicate, there's no specific frequency in it. It's really a neutral quantum energy field. It is supportive to anything consciousness and anything in regards to life, and it neutralizes everything that is destructive or harmful to life and consciousness. That's just the nature of the pure quantum energy field. Then in addition, we develop specific frequency for specific use cases with our healer network. And that is where the frequency medicine term really comes from. Because, for example, if someone struggles with anxiety, panic attacks, fear, and things like that, to various degrees, we have developed the so-called inner peace card. That's one of our roughly 25 frequency cards that we developed to specifically help with that use case. And we combine our technology with this quantum field that can imprint pure quantum energy with such a frequency and then make products out of it. So people can actually leverage a product, and that pretty much works like a little healer that you can put in your pocket. That's in essence pretty much how it works. So frequency medicine is a little bit separated, but it's intertwined with the quantum technology and the quantum energy that I talked about initially.
So interesting. And maybe now is a good time to explain maybe some of the quantum energy devices you have and what brought you to creating Leela. And like that, you mentioned the inner peace card. So what are some of the other devices that you have and how they support people?
Yep. So it really was a calling for me. It was a calling, and then I got in contact with a couple of companies and their products that worked with quantum energy. But the way they did it was not really powerful, to be honest. So they worked with a tiny little bit of quantum energy, and then they added magnetic brute force or electric brute force, and that was the predominant force, actually, which then in return adds just a little benefit but also a lot of energetic distress to the human body. So we looked at that and we said, that's nothing that we could ever really promote, that it helps people in the long run. So we developed this technology that can truly imprint pure, 100% pure concentrated quantum energy without any brute force into these devices. And we call them blocks, BLOC, a block. We have the so-called quantum block, the infinity block, and the so-called travel block. And those devices carry these super concentrated quantum fields, and they're very concentrated in the inside, and you can actually calibrate them on the Hawkins scale. And our products calibrate higher than any other products you can buy in the world anywhere. There's actually not even a comparison, because I don't know, the strongest we found was somewhere in the 500s, 550 maybe, and we can get ours to way over 1,000 actually on the Hawkins scale. And even our weakest device is already at 571, I think, on the Hawkins scale. The basic infinity block at 733. So it calibrates very, very high. And then not only does it have this super concentrated field inside the plates, also outside the plates, it has a field. It just gets a little weaker, but it does have a radius. So you can pretty much cover a whole home easily with any of those blocks. And just by doing nothing, they neutralize and harmonize all potentially harmful frequencies, including the whole EMF spectrum, which can easily be measured. So that can be measured with various techniques like the live blood analysis or heart rate variability testing and various other methods. And that has now been proven over and over, even by placebo-controlled double-blind studies. So that's that technology. But you can put your hands in there, for example, and then because of the stronger field inside, it instantly starts to improve your blood. It works with the heart rate variability even faster. There's a lot of benefits that you can feel, and seers can obviously see that very quickly, but you can also measure it. You can structure water with it. You can put your groceries in there and basically neutralize harmful frequencies, and they're converted into life force energy. So that's something you can charge any object, frankly, with pure quantum energy and increase its vibration. So as an example, if you have a golden Rolex watch, you can put that in, or it could be a super cheap watch as well that has metal. You put it in, and afterwards the vibration is a lot higher. And some people that cannot perceive energy at all, they will at least tell you, wow, it looks so much more beautiful now than before. And they can't tell you why, but it's because of this higher vibration, and people that are very tuned in, they can feel it. So those are some of the things you can do with it. You can actually do quantum entanglement with it as well, which is very fascinating. And yeah, so that's the actual technology, and we make that available to the people. So we don't hold that back. It's not like hidden in our closet. People can really get access to it and play with it. They can make products with it. They can help their family and friends and all of that. And then we have all these other products that we develop together with this technology and with these frequencies.
It's amazing, and it sounds so fascinating and obviously beneficial. But how do you even begin to harness the quantum? How is it possible to put into an object and make it stay there, so to speak, in order to benefit others? Because if everything is energy and it's constantly moving, how can you harness it and keep it in one place in a solid block or a card or a device?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the initial process I won't share because that's proprietary. So that's really the only thing that we do not share. Yeah. However, now no one needs to worry about it anymore, because you can actually do that with our devices. So you can, as I just explained, you can take a ring or your silverware and put it in our devices, and it then gets imprinted with pure quantum energy, and it stays there. It literally stays there forever, almost forever, except with electronic devices that are using Wi-Fi or specific, cell phone radiation, because those we suggest to recharge every 3 to 4 months.
Wow. So it stays in the object that's being charged. And then
Yes.
is that still true for humans as well?
So for
Or the
humans,
body?
no, it's different because we're living organisms, right? And we recreate ourselves all the time. So our frequencies constantly change, and we're in that form, we're extremely dynamic. Whereas a silverware, like a knife, is static in that sense. And so if we can have these benefits, for example, if I put my hand inside a block and I add a healing frequency to it, then I get the benefit of the quantum energy and, let's say, the frequency of a specific healing plant that I added. Okay, so I instantly get all those benefits to my energetic system and to my cells, and then I do with it what I want, right? As an energetic being, I leverage it usually and put it into motion and leverage it to whatever I need it for. But it doesn't stay per se. Like I can throw it out at any time. I can reject it. There's nothing that would imprint it. That doesn't work. That doesn't also work with animals or even plants or even crystals, frankly. Like a crystal, if you could imprint a specific frequency into a crystal at some point, that would usually go away again, that specific frequency, because a crystal is also very much a living organism, not really in the same scale as a human, but it still is.
Yeah. And it's just so interesting. And maybe it's part of the technology that you don't share as well or can't share, that's proprietary. But how is it possible as well to pick up the energetic frequency of, say, a plant or some other herb or something to then create as a frequency to then send to a person or a thing as a supportive mechanism?
Yep. That's just the nature of the pure quantum energy field, frankly. So because our devices are so highly concentrated with pure quantum energy, if you put a lemon in there, as an example, with a glass of water, within seconds, the frequency of the lemon will be in the water. And also you could take it further and say you take this piece of a healing plant and you take a ring, you put it in both together. Also after a few seconds, depends on what device, you will have the frequency of the healing plant in there. And the reason is because in the quantum field, all the frequencies exists. And as soon as you have such a highly concentrated quantum energy field that we have created with these blocks, then these energies commingle right away, and they, one frequency goes into the other object and vice versa. There's ways to prevent that, because you may not want to have the metal frequency of a knife in the healing plant afterwards. There's ways that you can get around that.
Yeah.
But that's in essence what happens in the pure quantum energy field. And that's quantum entanglement. And I'm actually not a very big fan of all this quantum mechanics stuff because I find it extremely theoretical. And for me, it's more a rabbit hole. You can spend billions and billions of dollars in researching this stuff, and it doesn't lead you anywhere, really. Now, the 2022 Nobel Prize for Physics was for, proving the quantum entanglement, actually, which that's a nice thing. However, we really work with the applied energy, right? We apply it. It's not some theoretical concept, and quantum energy and quantum entanglement can be experienced by everyone, frankly, because you can literally put a picture of a friend of yours that lives on the other end of the world inside your block, and then that person will receive the energy. The person will literally be in the field as long as the picture is in there. And since it's a neutral quantum energy field, it's also fine to do that. It's always better to ask for consent. But, if someone is really sick in the hospital or something like that, there's always the chance to do that, because it's not like a work from an energy healer that would specifically work on something and try to remove barriers or something. That would always be not possible. No true healer would ever do that without consent. So it's literally possible, and you can test that. It's very tangible, actually, this quantum entanglement stuff, because you can feel it.
Well, what is quantum entanglement exactly?
Mm-hmm. So it's basically within this field, if you have two particles that you place in this field, they're pretty much interconnected, and there's no distance really, and no time that exists within this field. So again, I'm not going into this quantum mechanical scientific definition here. I'm trying to explain now how this actually works, how you can apply it even with our blogs. So that's one of those things. Is like with the lemon and the water, you put that in, and they're not, they're just, one is on the left and the lemon is on the left and the glass is on the right. They're not on top of each other or anything, and still the frequencies completely intertwine instantly. But now if I put a picture of you in there, then that's a unique identifier that is connected to you. To you as the source of that energy, the unique identifier, and that's then in the field. So you have that link. So you're in the field. That's pretty much how it works. And again, it doesn't matter the distance, right? Whether that's 10,000 kilometers, 1 kilometer, 20,000 miles, it really does not matter at all.
Yeah, and it's like there's been so many studies done on meditation and prayer for different parts of the world, and it has an effect. And even, this idea of sometimes we think of a friend, and next thing they call us, or they're on the phone. I think a lot of people have experienced that as well. But then in order for us as well to connect to the quantum or to bring benefits to ourselves, do we need an intermediary, or can we do it ourselves as well?
Yes, I mean, we can frankly do anything with our own consciousness. And that's what we also tell people. Frankly, we would be pleased if we're out of business in 10 years with the products we have, and that everyone has woken up so much that you can do all of these things on your own with your own consciousness, which is possible. It is absolutely possible. However, I would say that 99.9% of the people have no clue how to do it, and they need a bridge. And that bridge is what we're providing, and that's what we're most excited about, because it helps with physical things. I mean, it improves your blood. I can make that claim because in 100% of the cases so far, in all of the double-blind studies and single-blind studies have been proven that the blood improves significantly already within 10 minutes. That is an amazing claim, but I'm much more excited about the consciousness aspect. And with that high vibration, actually helping people unlock more of their own consciousness. And that's why our products are not a Band-Aid. They don't work like a pharma product where you need an aspirin every time you get a headache, and you keep having that headache because you never work on the issue why you even have a headache to begin with. So what happens when you unlock more of your own consciousness, you get more and more of these abilities yourself. And also, if you work with our frequencies, over time, you actually learn how to recreate these frequencies yourself easier, and you get much more fine-tuned with your own senses, and you just get more access to your inner power. So that's really the goal, that people use these tools as bridges, because I think especially the current time requires it in a way that we step up, that we unlock more of our own consciousness. But ultimately, we can do it all ourselves with our consciousness. We just need to remember that.
Oh, yes. And that's very exciting. And hopefully, there's many things that can support people along their way. But ultimately, it is that idea to remember that we do hold all this power within. And maybe now is a good time to actually talk about what are the different levels of consciousness as well.
Yes. So, and there are different models, of course. One model that a lot of people have heard about that are interested in this topic is the so-called Hawkins scale. Hawkins was an MD PhD that was pretty advanced in his own consciousness, and he did a lot of research over decades. And he set up this consciousness scale where the lower levels of consciousness, like 100, 200, 300, would be in the realm of guilt, anger, jealousy, and things like that. And now as you move into the 500, you're at unconditional love. 550, I think, is joy. It's the state of joy. And then at some point you move into enlightenment as you go higher in this Hawkins scale. And the Hawkins scale was set from 0 to 1,000. It happened already about 20 years ago, I would say. And now the energies on Earth actually have shifted, that way higher levels are possible nowadays for a regular human or object, frankly, to vibrate in, that which wasn't possible at that time. And hence, some of our blocks that we develop nowadays, they actually calibrate higher. The highest calibrating block that we use for some of the charging is actually at 2,200 on the Hawkins scale, which is unheard of. It is pretty massive. But even the one that is just the basic infinity block at 733 on the Hawkins scale is already higher than anything you can pretty much imagine as far as subtle energy goes. And it helps you to, when you're close to such a field, it helps you to vibrate higher yourself and to get that stimulated within you, that unlocks the consciousness. Some of your listeners may have been before with an enlightened being, maybe for dinner, maybe in a darshan, maybe in I don't know. And you feel that, you feel the presence, you feel a certain type of joy and inspiration and a very positive energy. And that's pretty much then what happens when you then walk out of that room. You shine more than you did before, just because you've been in contact with such a being. And that's how I would explain it with this analogy.
That's amazing. And yeah, it reminds me, I think it was Caroline Mace in her book, one of her books, was saying how, now there is so much more information available. Like you were saying, it's possible for us to reach higher levels of consciousness. And the mystics, she said in her book, are among us now. They're not hidden off in the caves, because they're more needed between what's going on in the world as well, to help elevate and to lift the consciousness and the vibration. So that's really interesting. And your cards as well that you mentioned earlier, what frequency are they at?
Yes. So, and we don't calibrate everything on the Hawkins scale, because, these frequency cards specifically, their purpose is not a super strong quantum energy field. They do have actually quite some quantum energy in them, and they also calibrate relatively high, but their main purpose is to actually radiate a specific frequency that signals to our system that we can neutralize and harmonize issues that we have. So, as I alluded to with this inner peace frequency, right? We have other frequencies like a prosperity frequency, an abundance frequency, a weight loss frequency, a DNA and cell protector frequency. And there it really is important that it helps with a specific use case. And so the frequency matters. So that is true quantum frequency medicine in that sense. And we just have a lot of different kinds. One very important one is actually, we do have that as a card, but even more powerful, it is as a capsule. So we created this so-called heal capsule. It's a capsule made out of brass that's charged with specific healing frequencies, including the primal human healing frequency that basically is available when our bodies are created. So that reminds our system that we can heal ourselves. And then in addition to that, it's charged with the most important frequencies of the 78 most vital minerals, organic plant extracts, and vitamins for the human body. So those are molecular frequencies that then are also available. So that's a pretty powerful one. that you can wear around your neck, or you can put it in your pocket, and you get the benefit from those frequencies.
Wow. Do you have a favorite product?
The Heal capsule is definitely one of my favorite products. I would also call that the all-rounder product. And if someone doesn't really know what to start with, that would be a good one to start with. And then obviously the blocks. I mean, the blocks are really the ultimate, because you can do so much with it and it never stops. So if you have the so-called infinity block package, that's probably the most ultimate product you can buy, because you can then endlessly upgrade the quantum energy concentration in these blocks yourself. And you never need us or anyone else for that anymore. So you become completely independent in terms of quantum energy concentration that you can create. So you can increase the levels of concentration, and with that also the level on the Hawkins scale. And your grandchildren could still do that in a few hundred years, right? Because it's, as long as the material stays intact and you don't break it, it will keep working.
Wow. And just imagine if it fell over and it did break. What is released or what is lost that it no longer works then?
Well, if the material would be completely destroyed, then it just dissolves, because there's nothing that holds the energy anymore. And that's how we created in the first place, right? Because we need these carriers in order to concentrate this field in that way. So if you can throw it away, or if you destroy it, then but it's not easy to destroy it, to be honest. So it's actually, you don't have to really worry. It's not made out of paper, so it's really hard to destroy it. You would really have to put a big effort behind destroying it. And if it breaks by accident, just that one of the rods breaks, for example, then we are always happy to send you a new one. So
yeah. People don't have to go throwing it against the wall to see how sturdy it is. It's going to hold up. So fascinating. What an incredible conversation. And maybe even if there's just some of I know you mentioned the blood studies and the heart rate variability. Are there any other studies that have taken place, or scientific measurements of the benefits or how it works?
Yes, multiple actually. I'm going to mention 3 real quick here. So one is the ATP production of the actual cells. So not only with our blocks is more energy provided to the cells and the energetic system, but also in the first 2 hours, it has been proven in a statistically significant double-blind studies that the ATP production increases. That is quite fascinating. Then the BioWell has shown in all cases significant improvements. And then last but not least, I want to mention, besides several other institutes that actually successfully tested and studied our products, the Emoto Institute out of Japan, because a lot of people have heard about that. So they tested our blocks and also our water bottle, and they found that the block was able to change water to the positive faster than any other method or device they've ever seen before. And since about 9 months now, they've been exclusively importing our products and distributing them in Japan, which they have never done with any other product before. And we didn't ask them if they wanted to. They actually asked us if they could do that because they were so impressed by how it works. It literally was able to improve the control water from 1 beautiful crystal to 5 beautiful crystals within 3 minutes. And that means a lot in the Emoto world.
How amazing. And Philipp, what an incredible conversation. And thanks for joining and sharing today. And please, before you go, share where people can find out more about your work in these products.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on. LeelaQ.com, LeelaQ.com is the website. But there's another place also that is really interesting. If you want to get involved, if you want to learn more about this is our private Telegram group. It's called the Quantum Power Group, but you won't be able to find it anywhere because it's private. We have 6,000 members there by now. And you can hear from real life users, what they think about the products, what they do with them, what things they've solved with them. And yeah, so
Fantastic.
I will share that link with you after this so
Yes.
that you can make it available to your audience.
Yes, as always, I will have the links as well from the show notes on my website so anyone can go there as well and get that private Telegram link. So thank you so much again, Philip, and I wish you all the best.
Same to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening. And before you go, I would love to ask you a massive favor. If you enjoyed this episode or any episode of the podcast, I would love for you to leave a short review on Apple Podcasts to help it grow. If you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it.